Welcome to the Sacramento County podcast series, County Conversations. I'm your host, Kim Nava. We're here today with Shelby Boston, the county's director of the Department of Child, Family, and Adult Services. Welcome, Shelby.
Well, thank you.
So first of all, can you start by telling us about yourself and why you chose this career?
Sure. Well, I grew up as an Air Force kid. My dad was in the Air Force, so we moved around a lot. Lived in the South most of my childhood, so I saw a lot. I was exposed to a lot of different things, a lot of different people, socioeconomic backgrounds, things like that. Ended up moving to Chico to go to college, and honestly fell into social work by complete accident.
Really? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I didn't go to school with my bachelor's, was not focused on social work. I actually got my bachelor's in community health education, health science. Okay. So I worked for Kaiser for a time as a health educator. And then, but during my undergrad, had to do an internship. And I was doing health education with foster youth. Just by chance, I found this paid internship, which was unheard of at the time. And it was with a foster family agency. And then that was how it all started. The executive director came to me one day. They had received a new grant and said, I really think you should apply for this job. And I'm like, well, what is it? And he said, it's a social work position. I'm like, what do they do? So that was how it started.
Wow. Yeah. Well, so speaking of that, so March is Social Worker Appreciation Month, and your department employs hundreds of social workers. So can you explain the different kinds of social workers in the department and what they do?
Yeah, so we have child welfare social workers. Those are assigned to our child protective services. We have adoptions social workers. We have social workers who work with folks who need in-home supportive services. Mm-hmm. We have adult protective services social workers. And then we also have a program called the Public Guardian's Office. And those folks are also a type of social worker where they're working with individuals who may need to be conserved.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So how did your own experience as a social worker shape you as a leader?
You know, I was incredibly fortunate to have amazing mentors throughout my career. People who took time and invested in me as I was coming up through the ladder of social work. And I saw skills and assets in those individuals that I wanted to be more like.
Really?
Yeah. And I was just incredibly, incredibly lucky to cross paths with folks who took the time.
Yeah, mentorship. It's so important.
It's enormous. And I also, like most people in our career path, we come across folks where we're like, that's not how I want to be as a leader.
Exactly.
So I think at this point in my career, I've kind of taken as much of the best as I can from those leaders I admire.
Nice. So then based on your experience, what challenges do social workers face, and what would you like our listeners to know about those challenges?
Social work is an area that is under-resourced historically, and you have a variety of challenges. You have challenges like with our elder population, where you have a lack of resources that they experience, and a lack of, there's a thing called right to self-determination with our elders. So that can be really challenging. And so as a social worker, you're faced with roles and responsibilities that often don't align with the clients that you are trying to serve, where they don't want the same things that you want. So you have to really work on your rapport building skills and be resourceful. And if you're a person who loves a challenge, social work is definitely the career path for you.
Nice. Well, speaking of challenges with the families who are working with your social workers, let's talk about some of the misconceptions about social work, specifically in child protective services, right? And how the culture around child welfare has changed over time. How does the department support families during difficult times and work to provide stability for children from their parents or their guardians?
It's a great question. I've been in social work long enough to have seen the pendulum swing to where we were very hypersensitive and removing children for things now we would never dream of, to where now we really focus on keeping children at home safely whenever possible. And that is truly one of my core values. And even when I was a practicing social worker in the field, that was what my foundation of what I believed. And so here in Sacramento, we have a robust array of services for families, things like family resource centers, where they can go when they have challenges within their family system and never even interface with child welfare, which is amazing. And that's the intention. That's the goal. We want to keep them from having to come into the system.
What are some of the resources that a family could find there?
Sure, they can find concrete supports, things like diapers, baby formula, food resources. They may need assistance with getting a restraining order. They may need assistance with finding some housing supports. So family resource centers are really community focused and centered in what that community where they are situated need.
Right, and providing that support to families to keep families
Yes,
together.
Exactly.
So as you mentioned, DCFAS, Department of Child, Family, and Adult Services, not only helps the youngest Sacramento County residents, but also some elders in our community. So in adult protective services, how do employees support older and disabled adults while also respecting their wishes and their autonomy?
So as I mentioned, the right to self-determination is probably the biggest challenge. And for social workers who serve our elders, they really have a whole new set of challenges in front of them. They can go to a door, knock on it to investigate a referral of elder abuse, and the elder who answers the door may say, no, thank you. And so their challenge is to work to build that rapport and that relationship and that trust with the individual, and then connect them and help them see that their life could be better with these supports available to them. And maybe that means connecting them with in-home supportive services, or if they're not on Medi-Cal, then maybe it's connecting them with a provider, a private pay provider that can come in and do their daily living things like cleaning their house, going grocery shopping for them, doing laundry, the basics, to help maintain them in their home safely.
Yeah, which is what they want and what we all would want.
What we all want, yes.
So let's talk about the newest division of DCFAS, Quality Management and Administrative Services, also known as QMAS. How does this new division measure success and maybe show the department how to improve, or maybe where it's getting it right?
Yeah, QMAS is really amazing. If you're a data geek, it's really exciting. And I do find a lot of excitement in data myself. So a lot of what QMAS is focused on is improving policies and procedures. They look at the data in all the different programs, and they're developing, they're new. It's a newer part of DCFAS. They're working on creating data dashboards where it's easy, quick, all succinct in one place where we can see, and the public will be able to see where we are performing well and even areas where we could do better.
Okay.
So that's a big focus of QMAS at this time.
Yeah, definitely. So tell us about some services provided by DCFAS that benefits people in the county, and how can people learn more about those programs and services?
Sure. So our website is a great place to start for learning about services. We are responsible for things like certifying individuals who wish to take care of foster youth. That's a service that we provide. We provide in-home supportive services. And what I mean by that is we help connect the individual to those services. We don't directly provide those services. So that's an area where people, as they're aging, they may find that they need some supports there. It's also a good place to just see where the other resources are in the community. So we're able to link people to those other community resources as well, depending on what they need. If they need access to food resources, that'd be a great place to start, is looking at the website.
Yeah, great. Very good. So, Shelby, what drew you to Sacramento County?
I get this question a lot because I was, in Butte County for a very long time. And there were really three things that drew me here.
Okay.
One was my youngest child goes to school at Sac State.
Oh, right.
And so I I don't like to say I'm a helicopter mom, but I do like to be close to him. And I have a mom who is aged and has Alzheimer's. And so being closer to really better healthcare and adequate resources for her was a big deciding factor. And the probably the biggest one for my family was we lived in Paradise and we were impacted by the Camp Fire.
Yes.
And our house survived, which most people are like, oh, you're so lucky, your home survived. But it really comes with its own host of challenges. And it was just time for us to not live in a disaster zone anymore.
Yeah, understood. That makes sense. So finally, in your first year as director, what are you looking forward to most?
You know, I am very much a relationship person. I love having those relationships, knowing who to call and who can help you in times of need. And so I'm really excited to get to know people here and learn how things work here in Sacramento and bring with my experience that I have from Butte, where I found efficiencies within the organization in Butte. I hope to bring those efficiencies to DCFAS as well.
All right. Well, very good. We're looking forward to it. And again, we're so glad you're here. Thanks, Shelby, for coming in and sharing your knowledge and perspective with our listeners.
Thank you.
To our audience, thanks so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we hope you'll listen again as we feature different county department leaders throughout our series, County Conversations.
This podcast is produced by Sacramento County with production services provided by SacGov Studios.